Hello and welcome to another sketchbook tour video. My name's Sylvie, I'm a little baby artist and I share these sketchbook tour videos because often when I watch sketchbook tours I feel a little bit inferior and I just want to show a sketchbook that's full of all of the doodles and scribbles as well as the stuff that I'm proud of. This is a Royal Talens art creation sketchbook. I've used these for my last 3 or 4 sketchbooks. They're cheap, you can get them in loads of different colours, they take loads of different mediums really well. I'm a big fan. This is her chunky side profile. I love this makes me so happy. Just for comparison, this is my new sketchbook that I've just done one page in. You can already see that it's covered in paint. It's exactly the same, but look at the difference in that side profile. Anyway, let's just go, let's get into it. You can see she's been a little bit beaten up. I started this book on the 20th of April 2023 and finished it on the 21st of March 2024. So this is almost a year of sketchbooking. Normally when I start a sketchbook I get really caught up on the first page because if I do something I don't like in it I'm less inclined to actually carry on. But I decided, fuck it, blind contour straight away. So here I sat on one side of the paper and my partner sat on the other and we drew each other in blind contour style. And then we did some more. This is an oil painting that I did to test out some new brushes. And honestly, seeing oil paintings stuck in books next to other mediums just makes me realise how much I love oil paint. I don't know how well you can see, but just the sheen on it, it's just I almost find it tempting, tasty. I want to eat it. I don't know if that's a normal thing to admit online. Anyway, a little oil painting of some fish, and then this is a biro sketch of a dandelion. Here's another biro sketch of some hands, notoriously difficult. And some more blind contours. If you haven't watched my previous sketchbook tour, I love blind contours. At this point I was doing a daily art practice, and some days I didn't feel up to or didn't have time for a proper drawing or painting or anything, so blind contours are such a good way to get something down on paper. I do really feel that they've improved my drawing skills, and they just end up looking so dumb, and I really like them. So these are some blind contour cats. Still waiting for spring. It feels a bit like that at the moment as well. We've had a couple of really, really rainy springs. I don't remember doing this one, so that's nice to look at. Here's a fat squirrel. Clearly sort of started and then couldn't be bothered to finish, which happened a lot in this book actually. And here's a shiny gold tiger. Here's a biro sketch I did from life of my partner, and some more blind contours that I think I did from Pinterest. Here's some limited colour palette bluebells, so this was using, well, I guess it's not that limited, using 5 colours. More of an illustrative style than my usual, but I quite like them. Just some mussel shells. For some reason, some collage sunglasses, and these are blind contours from watching Eurovision. Here's another oil painting that I stuck in of some tomatoes ripening in the polytunnel, and honestly, yeah, I just love oil paint. Look at it, it's so shiny. And here's a drawing of my cat that I never finished. Blind contours again, and then a collage of some lemons. Some little biro doodles, and then this is a little comic strip I did on a road trip with my partner and his dad. I did it while we were driving. It made me really car sick. Feel free to pause to read. Here's some little watercolour doodles just exploring the shapes of different foliage. And on this road trip we went to Wales and saw some kites, so I drew them. More blind contours and a little note just saying, pen ran out, angry face. Here's a list of spring and summer art goals. I wanted to do more artist studies. I don't think I really did that. Paint outside. I did more than I had done, so yeah, I did that. Something big. I did start something big. I just haven't finished it yet. And purpose. Explore the purpose of my paintings more. Find a cause or meaning that inspires me rather than only painting pretty things. I'm working on this. I'm still working on this. This is a little watercolour and ink painting that I did of my studio among the wildflowers. I actually really like this. It's not my usual style, but I like the kind of loose, expressive, kind of illustrative style. Another oil painting I did from life on the beach. And another oil painting I did while we were in Wales. Here's just some pencil doodles, very blurry face. Here's a page of food illustrations. I made elderflower cordial, so here are the ingredients, and then I made some kind of marinated tofu thing. I quite like this as a sort of visual diary. It reminds me of the day. Food is one of my biggest loves in life, and I don't really paint it very much. Here's another oil painting sketch of a poppy growing in our herb garden. More blind contours, but I actually love these. It's of a bunch of my friends, and what's funny is that people can actually recognise who's who. Not sure what happened with this one. More blind contours, and then some limited colour palette artichokes. Not so sure about them, but hey. I mean, I'm not just going to point to blind contours and tell you that they're blind contours. You can see that by now. You know what? This is actually what I went on to paint on the big canvas. I did paint an oil painting sketch of this as well before I put it on the big canvas, so I guess it was like a pre-sketch. Huh. I don't remember this at all. This is a challenge that I do occasionally if I'm feeling really stuck, where I just draw or paint random shapes and then have to turn them into things. I never finished this pencil sketch, but I actually really like it in the unfinished state. I don't know, there's something quite pleasing about that to me. More 3-colour drawings and then another collage. This is my cat looking at a sunset. I do really enjoy collage for colour theory practice, and just like you can cover big areas of paper quite quickly. By the time I finish collages though, my back does really hurt. I end up really crouching like a little goblin. This was an experiment with oil pastels over gouache, I think. I really don't like this. That's all that I can say about that. Blind contours with added colour. Biro sketch of a banana, and then this. Basically, because of my daily art practice, I had to draw or paint something every single day. And I went out with my parents, because I'm cool, and we came home quite late. We'd had a few drinks, and I hadn't done my art, so I drew them. Blind contour, obviously. Here's a biro drawing of a raspberry, and then I used colour pencil over the top, which I quite like. I like that effect. And a little snail. This biro drawing took me so long. I did a lot of biro sketches in this book and I enjoyed it, but I've realised I am a painter, not a drawer. I think I'm just really impatient. Like, biros and pencils make such thin marks that when you want to cover a large area of space, you've just got to use your hand so much. If I was using paint, I could just do some thick globs of paint and cover huge areas. but with biro it's so kind of sketchy and it just takes a really long time. Anyway, that's me, and that's my partner. You don't need any words about them. Here is a creepy collage chicken. That eye is pretty scary. I'll just skip over this. Basically, it's just when I was at a market and I took notes of what I'd sold. Here are some little watercolour sketches of some friends, and then this I started doing outside, and then it started raining. You can kind of see like the splodges where the rain's fallen. I actually really like the effect that it's had on the sky, but it did blur the leaves, which isn't so great. This one is really different from the stuff that I normally make. Basically, I'd spent a weekend like surrounded by people but feeling kind of lonely, which is a universal feeling, I think. And then I came home, had a cup of tea, it felt a lot better. So that's the moral of that story. Here's a drawing of my friend Eleanor and her baby. I actually kind of want to turn this into a big painting. I have plans. And here's a sketch I started doing from life of my dad pruning some plants in the garden. But obviously he just kept moving, so I gave up halfway through. I'm going to skip through the next few pages really quickly because they're just blind contours. And card game scores. This is also different from my usual style. Basically, I went to London and I've become so bumpkinised. I have a real issue with being perceived, and because where I live is a small town, like you are perceived. Like if you wander around, people notice, they know what you're up to, like people know who you are. So now I find like if I'm in a big city, I have that same attitude of like, oh yeah, people are looking at me, and no one is. No one's looking at you in London. So I did this little kind of comic-y thing. I think everyone is looking, but no one is looking. They think no one is looking, but I am looking. And it just sounds a little bit sinister, to be honest. There's me, being scared on a tube. Here are some little sketches I did while in a park in London, and then the thing I was there for was just to go and absorb as much art as possible. Where I live, there's really not a lot of places you can go to see a big collection of all sorts of different kinds of art. So every time I go to London, I go and do both the Tates, the National Gallery. I just go and absorb as much as I possibly can. So yeah, I did a couple of sketches and made some notes about what I liked about things. This is a sketch of a Van Gogh painting of some crabs that I'm really drawn to. I've seen it like 5 times now, and every time I see it, I just like, there's something, yeah, really good about it. A little shitty doodle of a flower, and then a collage again. This is when I wanted to make a board game, which I never did, but I still think that would be fun. Oh boy, okay, so we're about to get to Peach Tober. This is the list of prompts. If you don't know, Peach Tober is a daily art challenge in October. To be honest, it completely burnt me out and made me quit my daily art practice once I'd finished. But I did complete it, so I'll show you and then I'll tell you about, yeah. This wasn't Peach Tober, this was just a little biro sketch. Okay, here we go. The prompt for this one was bee and cosmos, which I took as cosmos, like cosmopolitan cocktails. Pretty much everything in Peach Tober I did in gouache and watercolour pencil. This one's acrylic though. Sweet and grub, so I did some blackberries and then I thought I'd tie that to grub, like grubs up, with a blackberry pie. The prompt for this one was sprig, so here's some rosemary in the garden. You can see it sort of rubbed off, on this portrait, which is a bit of a shame because I actually am quite proud of this one. The prompt was I did a self-portrait. I find self-portraits so hard, but I do actually feel like this looks like how I think I look, so that's good. I don't like these ones. The prompt for this one was crater, so I painted Mount Vesuvius, and then the prompt for this one was dream, so I painted Pompeii because it was my childhood dream to go there. So again, I was trying to do like a double page spread that was coherent, but I don't really like it, either of them, to be honest. Blue and citrus. Pencil, so I did a pencil sketch. And then we're back to gouache with nest, so this was my cat making a little nest in the base of an olive tree. The prompt for this one was ship, which is a little bit grand for that little boat, but I do quite like this painting. I like the colours in it. This is a bit of a mess. This prompt was garden. I did definitely struggle at points with gouache. As I say, I love oil paint, and I really love the way you can layer with oil paint, and you just can't do that in the same way with gouache. This was fun. I really enjoy painting raindrops. I find it very therapeutic, and the prompt was weather, so I thought I would, do a nice easy raindrop painting. This prompt was sidekick, which I struggled with a bit, but I decided just to paint my two cats going hunting together. Blush was the prompt for this one, which I also really struggled with, so I just ended up going for a blush coloured sky. And then snooze was the prompt for this one, so that's my partner snoozing in the sun. I quite like the way that these accidentally ended up like mirroring the pink. Candle, self-explanatory, and then bulb, so I painted some garlic. This was when I just started finding it really hard. The prompt for this one was slingshot, which I just really didn't like as a prompt, so I did like a slingshot shaped tree, and then tunnel, but yeah, I didn't put a lot of effort into this one. I feel like I started and then I just didn't add enough depth. Weirdly, I think it's just that hole, that if you cover that up the rest of it looks okay, but then that hole just looks really flat. I don't know. Message was the prompt for this one, and I liked the idea of like capturing that blue phone glow on someone. So this is my partner, but I've got the proportions all a bit wrong. And then wand was the prompt for this one, which again, kind of struggled with. I found this on Pinterest, this image, and thought that was my best option. Coral, self-explanatory, and then ladybird, so I painted ladybird from the film. I like this one. The prompt was pond, and this was actually quite a quick one, and I didn't like it at the time, and now looking back on it, it's I like the reflections and stuff. The prompt for this one was chomp. I really didn't spend a lot of time on this one. I quite like it if I blur my eyes, so that's something. Float was the prompt for this one, and then moss or mossy. And then finally, spooky, because it was Halloween, the last day of October. So Peach Tober, I did it, which I am proud of. I struggled through. I think a large part of my problem with it is that it's very much built for illustrators. The challenge is set by an illustrator, and a lot of the people who take part in it are illustrators. And it is open to every medium. A lot of the prompts just feel like they're designed for like characters, or maybe more of like a cartoony style. I don't know. I struggled to find things that I wanted to paint within the prompts. I think just committing to 31 paintings in a row was too much. I was doing a daily art practice anyway, so I thought it wouldn't be that different, but realistically, like, this is very different to this. But yeah, I did it. I'm proud of myself for doing it. I don't think I'll do it again. And then, yeah, you can see, so basically, this was the 31st of October, and then this was the start of December. So in the whole of November, all I did was this, this, and then started plotting an art project that I never did anything with. And that was it for the whole of November. So you can see it did burn me out a lot. This is from when me and my partner went to Spain, as usual, scoring lots of card games and keeping bus tickets and stuff. It was really nice to get some winter sun, and it definitely helped bring my art inspiration back. I do find winter is just, well, it's just a bit shit, isn't it? I just find it hard. I was going to say I find it hard to feel artistically inspired, but I just find it hard in general. I'm just not a winter person. Obligatory sangria, and then lots of doodles of things that we saw. I was really drawn to this pharmacy building. This was back home, just some tea, some little sketches. And this peacock, I went to visit my grandma, and a peacock had just landed in her garden one day and not left. So she's got a pet peacock now. It's happened. And he's very, very beautiful. So yeah, I did a little sketch of him. 2024, I wrote some little goals, not specifically arty ones. My only real art goal was paint outside more, and I have been doing a lot of that, so that's good. Here's a little pebble painting. This is where my daily art practice started and then swiftly ended again, but here's just some blind contours and some doodles, and then this reflects the past 4 months in Britain. It's just not stopped raining, which really hasn't been very inspiring. Here's a little painting of Silas the Labrador, who was my partner's family dog who passed away in January. So I did this to remember him. Just a little doodle of my art supplies, and then this is, I guess, watercolour or gouache sketch, just of a sunset. This is my neighbour's cat. He's called Kipper, and he breaks into our house and causes a lot of mischief in a very lovely, adorable way. So we would just shout, "Kipper, no!" quite a lot, hence that. This is a little bit weird. I saw a video of someone training their left hand so that they could be ambidextrous. And I was like, yeah, how hard can it be? And then I gave it a little go and then decided that I couldn't really be bothered. And this is another one of those challenges where I would just like draw or paint random shapes and then turn them into other things without using references, which was my downfall. This was supposed to be a crocodile. Frankly, could not remember what a crocodile looked like at all. Clearly, because what is that? And then this marks me falling down an absolute knitting rabbit hole, and I think kind of quitting my daily art practice from there, because I would just knit instead of painting. This is a collage of a sunset. Yeah, been really enjoying collages. They're nice, they're good fun. Here's a little sketch I did based on a Da Vinci painting, not doing it justice, obviously. And then I blind contoured it, and then I guess I blind contoured it again. This was just some tests with some art supplies and a little sketch of my friends on the beach. This was always intended to be more than that. Basically, I went painting outside and then it was really cold and the paint just wouldn't dry. So I just shut my sketchbook, you can see where it's rubbed off, and just didn't ever complete it. But actually, I'm quite glad I left it. I quite like the really subtle colours and the textures. I think this is actually some more left-handed things. So clearly I do want to be ambidextrous. More blind contours. And just some little pen doodles. This was another watercolour painting that I intended to finish and then never did. But again, I like this texture. I like this sort of like bloomy, I don't know what you'd call it. It's just very kind of blurry, but yeah, I quite like it. Here, yeah, my art motivation completely just went off a cliff. I did stuff like this just as like therapeutic, I don't know, trying not to think, just using the brush. And I started things and didn't finish them. I got some pens from a charity shop for £2 that are supposedly like water soluble, and they kind of are, but you're supposed to be able to really blend them. You can't really, but I still quite enjoyed using them for these drawings. Is it an art crisis? No, it's just raining, and I think that's probably fairly accurate. But then here, I got struck by a wave of inspiration for an art project. I'm not generally a planner when it comes to art stuff, but all of this is me planning these ideas. I won't go into it too much because I don't want to commit myself to it, because then I might not want to do it anymore. But basically I've got an idea for a series of portraits kind of loosely based on Greek mythology. And then I realised if I wanted to do a series of portraits, I better get good at portraits. So I did a few sketches of my friends. Definitely could have fit another one down here. And then I did some just online figure drawing. More figure drawing, and this is the last page. I got ill. Again, I feel like I've just been permanently under the weather for the past 6 months. So it's a really ugly self-portrait saying, feeling pretty yucky. And then here's just some notes from when I went to the Tate Britain, and some little things I've saved in the back of my sketchbook. And that is it. Thank you very much for watching. I hope this hasn't been underwhelming to watch, but that is sort of the point. If you feel like your sketchbooks don't match up to all of the beautiful things you see online, remember that when I did a proper painting every day, I completely burnt myself out. So don't stress it, it's fine. Do some silly little drawings, make bad art, it's all good. Yeah, hopefully see you soon, maybe, I don't know.